Hi everybody, Dan here from Healing Associates. Welcome to this video where I am joined by the lovely Kay and Becky from Peas in a Pod Consulting. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, thank you.
Thank you.
So for those who haven't seen you on our YouTube channel before, you guys are HR and business consultants. And if you haven't seen those videos, you should go and watch them. They're very, very useful for anybody looking to employ people or scale up. But forgetting that, I want to talk to you about your business journey, because you guys are in business by yourself. We're all business owners here, and most of the people watching these videos will be. So I want to talk to you, firstly, why did you decide to make the jump? For me, it's the thing I always ask at networking because I'm interested in people's stories. So why the jump into self-employment?
Okay. One, it's very, very scary. It was a very scary prospect. I, for one, am very risk adverse. We're both from backgrounds, senior management backgrounds, nice big salaries, company cars, good benefit packages. So it was quite a daunting prospect. But we had got to the point in our careers where we realised we didn't want to do this for other people anymore. And not only that, what we were doing was not really what we wanted to be achieving in terms of impact. We are both from families of small business owners, and we recognised that there is a very clear gap in the market of being able to provide small business owners, specialists in their field, that want to grow, that want to scale up, the professional advice and support that they need to enable them to do that safely and effectively. I myself as well, I was influenced by a situation that I encountered when I was 13 years old with my father. My father was in the fish and chip trade for a good 30 years. And as an employer of quite a number of people, he had about 6 shops at the height of it. He was sued in an employment tribunal by a husband-wife management team for a redundancy scenario, and that was back at the time where if you got one part of the process wrong, it could effectively render the entire process unfair. And unfortunately he fell foul of that. I believe it was something like 1 letter that didn't get sent. Oh. And I, at the age of 12, 13, I think it was, witnessed my father very upset at having lost a lot of his hard-earned working class money from a fish and chip trade to 2 people for getting one part of a process wrong. And I think I realised at that point, I have a strong sense of injustice, and I wanted to make sure that small business owners in my father's position moving forward received that support, but in a way that they could actually afford, and from an operational perspective, that it's effective and achieves its means. Brilliant. So yeah, for me, that was my...
That's your why. I love it.
That's my why, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then you guys came across each other in professional life, did you? And then...
So we've known each other for between 15 and 20 years. I won't say exactly how much because it gives our age away. And we probably should have done this sooner. And actually everyone that's worked with us has said, we're not surprised you've done it. Why didn't you do it sooner? And we had quite a number of people that were telling us to do it at that time. And we just, in all honesty, didn't have the confidence. And as Becky said, we both had some children. And she turned up in my kitchen one day and said, I'm just going to do this. Do you want to do it with me? And I went, yeah, all right then. and it was really that simple. Yeah. And 3 and a bit years down the line, I do wonder why we didn't do it sooner. We've got a good relationship. We've both got different strengths. Becky's very strong on the technical side of HR and employment law.
You're both operational management background.
Yes, yeah, we both have an operational management background. I'm very much about holistic operational management, looking at the factors that motivate organisational culture, mission, vision and values, how to get the best out of the people that you employ, and putting in place the processes that underpin that on a kind of day-to-day level. So it works, we bounce off each other well.
Yeah, we're not concerned, like a lot of our counterparts in HR, there is a concern, obviously, for transactional HR, but we enjoy much more doing the transformation, what we call the transformational HR side of supporting our clients. And
the bit that really makes a difference, presumably.
Absolutely,
yeah, you can see it. I love it. So anybody who's been self-employed will know it's not easy, right? Otherwise everyone would be doing it. So what's been your main challenges over the last few years?
I think to start with, you have to be realistic that you're going to take a pay cut and that's okay, and not lose faith that the money will work out. because you are good at what you do. And I think you can dilly-dally about how you're going to do it and how you're going to package it up and what your website's going to look like and whether you have a leaflet. I mean, I think we probably spent the best part of, I don't even want to say in front of an accountant, on leaflets that we've never used, business cards that we don't often hand out. And actually what we've learned is it comes down to really good relationships with people that you trust and trust you. So I think the biggest challenge is not faffing about and just getting on with it. You know, we probably spent a good 9 months perfecting a website and looking at leaflets and business cards, and actually we could have just got out and got on with it.
It's not sweating the small stuff, really. I think also it's an emotional resilience. We're very lucky that we have each other and that we were best friends before we started this, and we know each other that well. So you can support each other when one of you's having a low moment. You bounce off each other. But the emotional resilience that you need to be able to sustain to get you through, because everybody tells you that it takes 2 years. You'll know within 2 years of starting your business whether you've got a viable business or not. 2 years is a long period of time, and if you're doing it on your own, it can be quite a lonely period of time, and you can doubt yourself throughout that entire journey until you get to that point where all of a sudden you realise you're successful. And you're just doing it. You're not thinking about doing it. You're not planning on doing it anymore. You're just doing it, and you're in your business. So it's ensuring that you keep whatever support you need around you and those networks around you to keep your emotional resilience levels up, to keep you motivated and forward, driving you forward.
I think that challenge applies with the people around you as well, having confidence in yourself. And I think that was a challenge, but also getting your friends and family to believe that you can do it, because there's a great post on Instagram, I think it is, about if Kylie Jenner or Rihanna drops a product, we all go and buy it, but your best friend or your neighbour tells you they're setting something up and everyone's waiting for you to fail. I'm not quite as cynical as that, but I get it. And I think we've seen quite a lot of indifference from our friends and families until the point that they realised that we were just getting up every day and going somewhere. My dad's been hilarious. I've got the most supportive father in the world, but for the first 2 years, if I told him I was going on a client appointment, he'd go, really? As if he couldn't believe
like you're doing something real,
Kay and Becky were actually going out and delivering value to people. And now he's probably the proudest dad in the world, but it is a challenge, kind of almost needing to know that you're going to prove everybody wrong and do it successfully.
And it is, and I speak to a lot of businesses, as you'd imagine, in that startup and scale up type world. And one of the things I will say to people, don't give up too soon, because the lead time and the running is long. And the same if I'm talking to someone about planning financially, I'll say to them, my experience as a business owner is it takes a while. You need the cash flow, or be able to adjust your own income, which is the toughest bit, to be lower for a little bit while you're in there. But don't give up too early, because often the relationships you're making are taking a while to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is a mindset thing. And it's easy to say to someone, don't give up. But that mindset that you need to have to not give up needs to be particularly strong and sustainable as well, because 2 years, like I said, is a long period, or however long it is. It's a long period of time.
It is, and that's why I'm always interested in why people do it, because you leave for, or do it for different reasons, and then you think, is what I've got better? But I think you have to be in a certain mindset to be a business owner and be out there in the world.
Absolutely.
So, and you're right, parents are funny things, aren't they? And my siblings are the same. They always think it's hilarious that I talk to people for a living, because growing up I wasn't bothered about talking to people at all. So, but yeah, it is interesting. So, what about financially? How have you found the transition from employees to coming in? I'm not talking about financially the money in your pocket, because we all know as business owners that's hard work to begin with. But what about the actual managing day-to-day stuff like invoicing and banks and accounts and all this kind of stuff?
A whole new world.
Useless at that.
A whole new world. We're not strong at that. That's not something we are good at. And I always use the Richard Branson phrase: you've got to surround yourself with people who are strong in those fields to be able to make up for your shortcomings, and together you will be more successful. I think even from the first time we very dodgily created an invoice in Word, and had no systems, because it was the first time we were actually charging for our services, to having to submit our first set of accounts accounts and understanding what we could and couldn't offset and claim, and yeah, just as simple, you know, can we go to Primark and spend £300 on clothes? No. It was, we really are that naive. We didn't have that skill set coming into our own business, and just as you probably find, people are specialists in their own field. We know business consultancy, we know HR. We do not know how to lay out our accounts and how to do our tax returns and how to make sure that we have our cash flow mapped. It's been probably one of the biggest learning curves for us, and not only has it been a learning curve, it's been a necessary evil, because neither of us are particularly motivated by the money. That's not why we set out. You've heard the story. We're about impact and value and relationships. Those are the things that really matter to us. So although the 2-year journey was really hard, I think part of our resilience comes from the fact that the money didn't matter so much at the beginning. But of course, you need it, and you can't get away with being naive and not knowing this stuff. So yes, a very big.
I still find that that's it though. Is that more my experience of seeing and working with people doing this, as well as my own, is that the less you care about the money at the beginning, the more chance you have of being successful, because you're not driven by it. You're driven about doing a good job, and doing a good job will come back to you in word of mouth referrals and all the other things. So.
But when you forget to send invoices, that's when you know you possibly.
It's a common challenge.
Yeah,
very common challenge.
And that's when we totally accepted that we needed more financial intervention.
Did you work with an accountant from the beginning?
Yes, a good
Fantastic.
friend.
That's what we want to hear. Yeah.
But because it was a friend, I think the whole point about delegating something completely out to someone, you've got to learn this stuff. It's not an excuse to not learn it, and having somebody that's done it for us as a friend in some ways is probably not, it's hindered us a little bit, because we trust so implicitly.
But you immediately though saw the foresight and the need to have one, which is important, I think. I think especially as you come into the business world, a lot of people think, oh, it's my first year, it can't be that complex. But obviously those first years for me are where some of the biggest impact is with this stuff. So.
And I worked with a client the other day that said she did all her own invoices, and I'm sure if she watches this, she'll know who she is. And I thought she was absolutely nuts, because we're the first ones to preach that you should outsource the stuff that you don't know. So we very quickly realised we don't know finance. We need to outsource it to somebody that can do it with us, for us, and that we can trust to get it right, because we don't know what we don't know.
And how have you found the impact of outsourcing your invoicing and having an accountant and those kind of things on board?
Oh, so much easier, especially automated invoices. We probably should have done that a good year before we actually did. I'm still manually creating drive documents.
Good, well, that's always pleasurable to hear. There you go. And you're not invested, because we don't work for you guys, so it's not even a vested interest asking you this time, but no, it's great. So there you go, I like it. So finally, I suppose, what I really want to come out of this is as business owners, we've all been through the journey of all these challenges early doors. What's the 3 bits of advice you would give the younger versions of yourself now going back in time to do this? So go for it.
Have confidence in your own ability and go for it.
And don't let that waver as well. Don't let that confidence waver. When you don't get the support through the people you want the support from, when your friends don't buy from you when you expect them to, and when you're a year down the line and you've had 2 ups but 3 downs, that unwavering confidence that you need to have in yourself, if you expect other people to have it in you, and that's what and require that to drive you, it's not going to work. You need to, it needs to be within, and it needs to stay there.
Brilliant.
Until you get to where you need to be.
I think the second one for me would be buy in the stuff you don't know, because it's a really worthy investment. To have finance, to have business mentors, it's all really worthwhile stuff. You have to look after your own well-being, and you have to understand that although you're the business owner, you also need to be able to switch off and ask questions and get some support. There are 2 of us, but we still involve other people that we know and trust for guidance and for practical support with things that we don't understand as well. So surround yourself with good people.
Yeah. And thirdly, for me, sell your services to make a difference, to produce the best service in the industry that you're working with. If you just do it to make money quickly, I think you could be disappointed quite quickly. To be sustainable, I think you need to focus more on being really good at what you do, as opposed to being really money orientated.
Yeah. No, I think they're great tips. And I think one thing I did want to touch on though with this is because there will be people watching this going, that sounds really, really great, but where's the money coming from, right? So you and I have all been, I mean, we met networking, and as a result, I mean, you guys go out networking, I do. Talk to me a little bit about the power of networking. Where have you found your business?
All of it's through networking. So we don't spend great sums of money on advertising. We're not particularly strong on social media. It's another one that we need to get better at. And for us, it's about making and sustaining meaningful relationships, and networking is a really good way of doing that. And it's not going into a networking event selfishly. It's going in to understand people, understand what people need, understand what you can give them, understand what you can get from them, and being, just really focusing on the people side of it rather than the sales side of it. That networking events are incredibly important, but we've all seen the person that comes in and throws their business cards at everyone and rocks out. That's just not what good networking's about for us. And
it's about building relationships. And a great years ago,
But it comes back to that initial point I made, which is the run-in is a long time when you're starting out doing this thing, whether you're looking to grow or whether you're looking to start out.
And you need to be patient. That's probably the fourth tip.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Yeah, I love it. Great. I think there's been some fantastic tips in there. So thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. I could talk to you about this forever because I love origin stories and talking about the challenges of being in business. But for now, this will do. So thanks very much. I'm sure we'll have you back on another video.
Thanks for having us.
So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, especially from Kay and Becky, they were both on a few videos. Make sure you check out other channels in our YouTube. Otherwise, subscribe, like, and tell your friends about us. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.